Welcome to Synchronize Swatches, your twice-monthly dose of coolness. I'm your host, Chris Gregory.
And I'm the other guy, Chip Johnson.
Every other week, we watch an episode of cult classic 90s sitcom Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and then we record ourselves talking about it.
It's time for Operation Record the Podcast. Are you ready?
Man, being ready ain't rock and roll, man!
Gentlemen, Synchronize Swatches. Not a problem.
I've never liked you, Lewis.
Not a problem.
Eat now?
Clean out your locker. You're finished.
Warm up my instrument.
Yeah, man, I was thinking about that too, man. I was like, I need to start doing those actors vocal exercises, man. So
Unique New York. Unique New York.
Exactly. I was doing a couple of those just so to get tongue-tied, man.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I get some fucking mush mouth sometimes, and I was like, jeez.
It's crazy. It's like, I'm just fucking reading.
Right, yeah, I know.
How
What the
hard
fuck?
is it?
Your brain just
Stupid
gives
lips. So, I've been revisiting A-Team.
Yeah.
So ever since Troy brought up the A-Team, I was like, oh God, I love the A-Team. So I've been revisiting it. But it's funny how, I've only watched a few episodes, but already I've seen two people from Parker Lewis.
Yeah.
So Garrett Graham, like I told you, he was in episode 2.
Right.
Very bit part. Like, I don't even know if he has speaking lines. But he plays like a cult member. And I was like, that's fucking great, Garrett Graham.
Of course he does.
And then the one that came on last night, fucking Billy Jane is in there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, like as a little ass kid. I mean, because this is '83, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
I was just like, man, I wonder how many other Parker Lewis folk I'll see in A-Team as I go along.
Did you watch that when it was on?
No, okay, so I mean, it started in '83 and ran to like
Yeah.
'87. So obviously, I mean, I was '83. I was what, 5?
We were young.
So yeah, I wasn't watching it in prime time. It's been ingrained in my head because it was on like afternoons, like in syndication on God knows what channel. So like after school or whatever, or on Saturdays or whatever. I mean, it just I saw those episodes so many times. So many of these episodes are like ingrained.
I remember watching it when I actually did watch it a little bit when it was on. And the only reason I don't remember anything about any of the episodes I saw, obviously, because like you said, we were like 5 or 6 years old. But, I just remember having the little A-Team Hot Wheel,
Oh, I did too.
van,
I did too.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like my jam, the A-Team, for whatever reason when I was like 7. That and Transformers.
Yeah, I think I had an A-Team lunchbox too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I had an A-Team lunchbox with like, I think BA was on the thermos or something. Mr. T
Yeah.
was on the thermos.
Was it metal? Was it a metal lunchbox?
I'm sure back then it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the plastic ones were like just after our time. Did you ever have any plastic lunchboxes?
I probably had some in like 6th grade or something, but that
Okay,
would have been
yeah.
around the time, like, around the time Parker Lewis was on, actually,
Yeah.
middle school age. But I remember having a couple metal ones, though.
Yeah, all the ones I remember having were metal. I had a Return of the Jedi one. I'm pretty sure I had an A-Team one. Had an ET one, but those were all metal. Yeah.
Yeah. Metal as fuck.
Who are we to play God with the kid's life?
All right, season 1, episode 14, Kube, or in German,
You can read the German one.
Robo-Kube. Translation, Robo-Kube.
Well done. Mach schnell. That's not what you should say there.
What is
That
that?
doesn't make it. That means very quickly or something. I don't remember.
Is it? What is it? Schnell? Is that?
I think that's fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge Die Hard fan. And like the terrorists, not really terrorists, but the thieves there at the that are taking over Nakatomi. They're German, and they're always saying Schnell, Schnell.
Yeah.
And I was always like,
quickly now.
what are they saying?
Yeah. They're saying fast, faster.
Quickly. All right, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Anytime you
the
have German bad guys in something, they're always, at some point, they're always like, schnell, schnell, mach schnell.
The more you know.
Yeah.
All right. Original air date, December 16th, 1990. And I see that you have a note here. NBC aired Ferris Bueller the half hour before and aired Saved by the Bell opposite this Parker Lewis. Is that different from like the previous weeks as far as the slating of their shows?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, if it is, I'm wondering if it's they're starting to see Ferris Bueller, the show, starting to tank, and they're like, you know what? Let's put Zach Morris up against Parker Lewis and see how he does.
I think that Ferris Bueller was that was the time slot for it. I mean, it's been a couple months since I found this little factoid, but the Saved by the Bell, I don't think that was on opposite Parker Lewis usually. You know? I think you're right. I think they were trying to bring their 1-2 punch of teen bullshit.
To try to fight back against the powerhouse that was Parker. Director of this episode was Andy Tennant. This is his third episode directing. He also did Operation Kubiak, which we just mentioned, and Parker Lewis Must Lose. That's a pretty good one too.
Yeah. It's been a few since he's directed too. I mean, we're 10 episodes later at this point.
And the writer of this episode is Tom Straw. His third episode as well as a writer. He did Parker Lewis Must Lose and Deja Dudes, which he actually had a cameo in Deja Dudes in the reunion.
Yep.
All right, my episode synopsis. A recent rash of shoplifting is hurting the bottom line at Mondo Video, so Parker decides to hire behemoth Larry Kubiac as a security guard. As the crime drops to zero, it seems the plan was a success. However, it's soon clear that Kube's zeal for the job is scaring away customers and hurting the business even more than the shoplifting. The Lewis family decides that Kubiac has to go, and since Parker was the one to hire him, Parker must be the one to fire him. Not a problem, right?
Very well done. I love how
I didn't know how to end that one.
Yeah, no, that was great. Not a problem, right? I love how cowardly the entire Lewis family is too. Like their whole reasoning, you know, we'll get into it, but their whole reasoning is like, well, you're the one who got him in here, so you got to fire him. It's like, no, you guys are just scared of him.
They're all fucking scared of him.
Yeah, they're just terrified.
So far, all right, hang on a second.
Good. Let's all take a sip.
Prepare for this marathon.
People like it when you do that on mic, right? Go.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Stop doing that. I made the joke and then realized I fucking hate it. No, thank you.
You're like, God, my ears.
Yeah, ASMR.
They've been violated.
Gross.
So for our opening gag, we actually have the camera inside a soda machine, and it's similar to those. I've actually never seen a soda machine like this, but it's like those coffee machines where you open the door, the cup falls down, coffee pours in. You know?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one that has soda like this, though?
I don't think so. I think that it's typically coffee that they.
Yeah. I think it's a convention just for this gag. But anyways, so it's a soda machine, but it's like those coffee machines. And the first door opens, and it's Parker. The cup drops down, fills with ice, and then fills with soda. Not a problem. The second time the door opens, it's Frank, and the sequence is actually off this time. The ice comes first, then the soda, and then the cup. Frank gets angry, and he tries to karate chop the machine, but he only ends up hurting himself.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that in there, because when I watched it, I was like, I didn't get what he was doing. And it's because of how it's shot, because it's the POV inside the machine. So it's he's chopping towards it, and I didn't realize he was actually hitting the machine. I thought he was stopping himself or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was just because I'm a dumbass. I didn't catch that. Like, what's he doing? Frank's so weird.
Yeah, and then we cut to black, get another credit, and then the third time the door opens, it's Miss Musso. And she watches authoritatively with arms crossed as the cup drops down and then the ice. But the soda is not forthcoming. And after a few beats, she gives it the thumb, and finally the cola flows. And we cut to black. The door opens for a fourth time, and we have Kubiac, who opens the door, and nothing happens. He looks up into the machine curiously, and then he decides to pick up the whole fucking thing, tilting it overhead so that the soda pours directly into his mouth.
He's very satisfied with himself when he's done, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
He does this.
Oh, man. So then we open on Mondo Video, the store owned by Parker Lewis, Parker Lewis's parents, I should say. And while Parker is flirting with a customer, we hear Shelly yelling, "Shoplifter!" And we see her latched onto someone's leg who's trying to flee the store. But the thief manages to shake free of Shelly and escape. We get a montage of the Lewises giving the police sketch artist a description of the perp.
Short guy, red hair, freckles, pasty white skin.
He was a tall black man, about 20. He had a medium build, about 40 years old.
Her eyes were real beady.
Then we see them talking to the cop in charge, who Parker describes as a police academy reject, and this is played by Gary McGurk.
I remember him
he's been
mostly
around. Yeah, he's got that face. You've seen him in a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I remember him from Home Improvement. He played, he had a mustache and was just one of the, I don't remember exactly what he did on there. But
So as they're talking to the cop, Marty Lewis informs us that it's the 10th shoplifting in 2 weeks, which is a hell of a lot of shoplifting in 2 weeks.
That's ridiculous. I made a note of that. I was like, 10 shoplifters in 2 weeks. Jesus.
Yeah, they got a problem. The cop says, "I sympathize with you, Mr. and Mrs. Mondo." As he glances up to the Mondo video sign, he's like, "Oh, it's Mondo Video. They must be named Mondo."
Yeah, and they all turn around and look all dumbfounded. Yeah, it's so dumb.
It's so dumb. I mean, it's so fucking
Mondo.
stupid, but I cracked up. And he continues, "But you see, shoplifters are a tricky bunch. The only way to nab one is to have one of us here when it happens." And Parker sarcastically adds, "Well, maybe we'll just notify you before the next ripoff." And the cop genuinely is agreeable to this suggestion.
Yeah. Like, all right, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Yeah.
And I'll say, while they're talking to the cop, like, because we're angled on the cop, and we can see, the store and then the front door. And someone just walks by and nabs the lifestyle stand up of I guess it's Batman.
Right. Yeah,
Michael Keaton's Batman, and just walks out.
Walks out the front door with it. Cops is completely oblivious.
So we cut to the hallway, the school hallway, and we get a scene where a girl walks by, catching Jerry's attention, and he drops his load, so to speak.
And that's not just you being blue. That's how he refers to it at a later part of the episode.
That's how he refers to it later.
Drops his load. God.
So Jerry drops his load. So tons of items fall from his trench coat. Tennis balls, tennis rackets, a blender, a chessboard, a bunch of other stuff, and a copy of Love Story by Eric Siegel.
Yeah, I love all this stuff. I actually paused it to take a look at all the shit that had fallen out of his... I paused it to take a look at his load on the floor. I think you pretty much got all. There was a microscope in there too, but I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Jerry's got a lot of shit in his jacket, man.
Yeah, he does. It's a huge load, Jerry. Oh, God. Oh, man.
Nobody's going to. Our subscriber count's just going to drop after.
Yep.
Like, wait a second.
Drop from 3 to 0.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
So Mikey picks up the novel and says, "Love Story. In the words of Phil Collins, something's happened on the way to heaven," which I'm guessing is a Phil Collins song title or lyric.
Yeah.
Not too familiar with much of Phil Collins stuff.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that
and
one.
this is like the first lyric line we've gotten from Mikey in a while, I think, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's been a while since he's done
I was
that.
like, oh, he's doing that again.
I wonder if that's a Tom Straw thing or something,
Oh, maybe. Yeah, could be. So we cut to the cafeteria where Jerry informs us that the girl's name is Gina Lang. Parker and Mikey tell Jerry that he should get to know her, and Jerry whips out a dossier and rattles off a bunch of info. I have a note here. Stalk much?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's not unexpected from Jerry, but
no,
I made a note here because I really enjoyed the Garfield mural on the wall in the background. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if it says is it time for lunch or something like that, but it's just this giant Garfield back there.
Garfield was everywhere in the 80s and 90s, man.
Yeah.
Licensed and unlicensed. He was everywhere.
Yeah. He was everywhere licensed, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Jim Davis did not skip an opportunity to license that character. Nope. That's my hot take for the week. Chris's hot take for the week.
So Mikey stops Jerry and says that he means in person, to which Jerry replies, "And risk dropping my load again?"
God. Yeah, that's great. That's a great line.
So then we see Gina approaching, and she's played by Danny Lee, who was a dancer in Caddyshack 2. She was in Beverly Hills 90210. She was in The Man Show as a juggy dancer.
Cool.
Who was that show? Was that Jimmy Kimmel, right?
It was
Man
Jimmy
Show?
Kimmel and Adam Carolla first, and then it was
That's right.
Joe Rogan and God, I can't remember the other guy's name now. It's escaping me.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was other hosts.
Doug Stanfield, maybe, or something.
Oh,
I can't
right.
remember his last name, but yeah.
So anyways, Gene is approaching from behind, and Jerry eeks and turns back to his buds for support, but they have hightailed it out of there. From afar, we see Parker and Mikey observing, and in VO, Parker tells us that he hates to desert a best bud, but it's time for Jerry to sink or swim. After a short exchange, Gina asks Jerry about his friend, the dangerous one with the dark hair. Turns out she's got the hots for Mikey, and Jerry is left crushed. So we cut to the hallway where Parker and Mikey ask Jerry how it went. Jerry simply hands them a tube of crazy glue. He steps into a locker and instructs them to seal him in. So overdramatic.
Yeah.
We are then interrupted by Frank Limmer running down the hall in hot pursuit of a thief on a skateboard. The perp gets away, though, and through the exchange with Parker and his buds, Frank informs us that the guy got away with a very special endangered species purse of Miss Musso's.
Naturally.
He's worried about what Miss Musso will do when she finds out that he lost it. Parker says, "What are you worried about, Limmer? Miss Musso's crazy about you. She'll be fine." And we smash cut to Miss Musso's office as the door flies open and shatters.
There's our window
And she's
break.
putting, and she's putting Frank on probation. The best buds hiding behind sheets of paper. Yes. Like notebook sheets of paper.
Yep.
They're watching all this go down from the principal's office there. At this point, Kube comes stomping in and drops the thief at Miss Musso's feet. He produces the stolen purse and says, "Bad boy."
Rumor has it the kid stomped on Kube's ring ding during his escape. Whatever it was that turned Kubiac into campus vigilante, I just got the best idea I've had since homeroom massages.
Don't fuck with his food, man.
Don't fuck with his ring
If
dings.
there's anything
ding
we've
dongs.
learned about this show,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't fuck with his ring dings or his ding dongs.
Don't fuck with his ding dong.
Are ring dings and ding dongs the same thing, but just different companies?
I don't know. Maybe. I guess so.
Because sometimes they say ding
dong.
dong and sometimes they
Yeah.
say ring ding.
Yeah.
I think it's the same type of, I'm pretty sure it's the same type of food.
Probably.
One's probably Hostess and one's probably Little Debbie.
Yeah.
So we cut to shiny black shoes, and as we slowly scan up the mountain that is Kubiac, now decked out in full security guard uniform, it turns out that we're in Parker Central, and Kube looks pleased, and he says, "Is good." Parker and the buds look pleased as well, and we cut to commercial.
I love these ones where Kube is just saying, one or two word
Yeah.
lines like that. It's, "Bad boy
Yeah.
is good."
Monosyllabic, yeah.
Yeah.
So back from commercial, we're in Mondo Video, and it's Kube's first day on the job. He plops down his big brown bag onto his desk, which I guess they gave him a desk.
Yeah.
And this time it doesn't say Larry's lunch; it says Larry's donuts, but it still has the one R missing out of
Yeah.
it.
Still got the misspelling. That was the note I took. I was like, Jesus, he's still misspelling his name on this donut bag.
Yeah. So we have a scene with Parker and Badge. Badge is back.
Hooray!
Yeah, Badge. We love Badge.
Yes, we do.
And we're sorry we called him the poor man's meatloaf.
Yes, we are. Very much so.
Very, very sad we called him that.
I think it's okay, though. We found his fucking name. We found out what the character was called.
Yes.
And we love him.
And so Badge is buying a bunch of CDs and videos.
One Judas Priest CD, one Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 Laserdisc, and Bambi.
Awesome brush fire, dude.
There you go. Enjoy.
He's renting Bambi just to watch the fucking brush fire.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't point out the fact that, the whole Bambi's mom scene. So,
Yeah, exactly.
That's too lightweight for him. He needs a brush fire.
Yeah. So as Badge exits, we hear Shelley complaining that Kube gives her the creeps. Parker asks what she means, and we see Larry Kubiac standing in front of the mirror doing his best taxi driver De Niro impression.
You talking to me? Well, punk? You talking to me? I don't see anyone else around. So you must be talking to me. That's right. I'm bad.
And as the Lewises discuss the merits of having Kube on staff, we hear Larry tackle a suspected shoplifter. This turns out to be a priest who was actually returning a rental. He wasn't even leaving. He was coming in.
Yeah, walking in the door, and he's
but Kube has tackled him like on the ground.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the Lewises approach and are like, "Hey, this he's not shoplifting." and Larry snatches the VHS out of his hand, and I think it's "Oh God" with George Burns. I looked from the cover. I was like, "Oh, I think that's what that is."
Yeah. George Burns, who lived another 6 years after this episode. He was already 94, I think. When
he was old as shit then. Yeah, even when he was in Oh God and Oh God Part 2. But anyways, I think the button on that scene was like, Kube was like, "It's not rewound."
Yeah. See, when you used to rent a video back in the day, kids, he would be charged a fine if you didn't rewind the damn thing.
You're gonna burn in hell, Father Rafferty, for not rewinding.
Yeah.
So we cut to the school. It feels like this episode is just a lot of cutting back from Mondo video to the school and back and forth. So ominous music is playing as Kube patrols the hallways. He's still in his security uniform, but he's got his sleeveless flannel over top of the uniform.
Yeah,
he's kind of this. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of this hybrid look from school and work. And Parker realizes that his shoplifter eradication plan K might have a slight glitch because Kubiac is taking his after-school job a little too seriously. And Kube passes by Parker and Mikey, and we stay with them. And Mikey has a great line here. He's like, "Whoa, dirty Larry."
That's funny.
Jerry approaches and tells them that it was pumpkin yogurt day, but they ran out right when it was his turn. Parker gives his condolences just as a random guy runs up with a yogurt and hands it to Mikey, saying that he saved it specifically for him. Mikey offers the yogurt to Jerry, of course, but Jerry refuses. He says, "You go ahead, Mr. Randall. I can wait till next month." And he seems completely crushed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pumpkin. I mean, that's, it's a special flavor, especially in 1990. Yeah, it's crazy too. It's like, I'll wait till next month. So they have pumpkin yogurt one day out
once
of the
a
entire month. That sucks.
Poor Jerry.
Poor Jerry.
So then we cut outside. Mikey and Jerry are walking through the parking lot, and a guy pulls up and asks if anybody needs a ride. And it's this is Rodney Allen Rippey, who we know from How's Mama's Bathtub,
Season 1,
which was
5.
close but no guitar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During Mikey's meltdown. During his public flaying.
Yes.
How's Mama's Bathtub?
It's so great. So yeah, that's Rodney Allen Rippey reappearing again. He's driving like a convertible or whatever.
Yeah, nice looking car.
Yeah. But anyway, so Rodney, he asked if anybody needs a ride, and Mikey declines because he says he rode his Harley today. Jerry's like, "Oh, I actually need a ride," and he goes to hop in, and the guy just peels off. What an ass.
Again, poor Jerry.
So Jerry's left behind literally in a cloud of smoke, and he's looking all depressed. And he kind of just starts walking away. And Parker walks up and asks Mikey, "What's up with Jer?" Mikey's not sure. So yeah, at this point, we realize that the B plot line is not Jerry pining over a girl that actually wants Mikey. It's like much bigger than that. It's just that he's like inferior to Mikey in every way.
Yeah.
He can never stack up to Mikey.
Yeah. It's just sort of initiated by this situation with the girl. But that, it starts to highlight, a number of ways in which he feels like he doesn't measure up, I guess.
Yeah. But back when it was just about Gina, like I figured the B plot was just about him going after this girl that didn't want him and wanted Mikey, but it's bigger than that. So then we cut back to Mondo Video. Kube is surveying the store with binoculars, and we get a montage of Kubiac stalking and harassing innocent customers. And his harassment goes as far as to scare the Robert Palmer lookalike that's playing in a music video up on the TV screen.
That's a great
And
scene.
he growls, and first the Robert Palmer dude runs off, and then Kubiac growls again at the TV, and his whole female backing band screams and runs off.
Yeah, I'm sure if you see it, you'll get. I mean, if I don't want to say you'll definitely get the reference because it's like a 40-year-old reference at this point. But
I think I think even now, I mean, it is such an iconic. He had two videos that had that look, right?
The
Simply Irresistible and
Addicted to Love.
Addicted to Love. Yeah, those two, like, it was just him in the foreground with the all the women that looked identical, playing all the instruments behind him. Slick back hair, like super red lipstick, and sleek black dress. It was a very distinct look.
What's interesting about that whole sequence of him harassing the customers, aside from the fact that you get to see a lot of really cool vintage, VHS tapes on the rack, is there's one point where there's a little kid, or I don't even know if he was a little kid or not, but picking up an Atari Lynx in the box or whatever.
Yeah,
and,
I saw that. Yeah,
he scares the shit out of him and he drops it. But when I was looking into it, did you know that the Atari Lynx was the first full color handheld system ever released? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I think I did. I knew it was. I think it came out right before the Game Gear, which I actually had. So I had a Game Boy and then I had a Game Gear.
Yeah.
But I remember when the Lynx came out. But yeah, I think it just beat the Game Gear just briefly.
It's really strange too that like you got your you had your Nintendo Game Boy around that time that was like a Tiger handheld, black and white. It wasn't that basic, obviously.
No,
but, it was black and white, and then just immediately you had these other systems coming out with color. It was I don't know, but I don't know. I think Nintendo had maybe it was better quality. I don't know. I didn't have anything but the Game Boy, so I never played any of the other ones.
Well, I think what Game Boy had going for it was the titles, was the games.
Yeah, that's true.
Game Gear, because I had the Game Gear. I was like, it's fucking color. This is way better than Game Boy. But I only ended up getting like 3 or 4 fucking games for it, and I had a shit ton of games for the Game Boy. And even though it's in black and white, or the green and whatever that weird monochrome green was, the games were just more fun, and there was a much bigger variety.
Yeah,
and I think they just had better licensing, better titles. I mean, there's still some fun Game Gear stuff. I mean, I got a Game Gear a couple years ago on eBay, broken, and I fixed it up, put new capacitors in it, and put a new screen in it, and I've got like Shinobi on there and Ninja Gaiden and I bought a bunch of games for it. I spend way too much time playing old shit.
He says on his podcast about a 35-year-old show.
Yes. I just want to live in 1990, guys.
I did it once. I'll do it again.
Oh, man. Yeah, but the whole montage, I mean, it's tons of great stuff in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, tons of great VHS. You can see Critters up there, which I fucking love Critters. And related note, so last, we're recording this late March, but last Monday was St. Patrick's Day, and the Culver City Theater, which is, just right down the street from us.
Yeah.
On Mondays, they do like old movies and stuff. Like we saw Blade Runner there, Terminator, Total Recall, a bunch of movies. They just show old movies on Monday nights for fairly cheap. But they did a double feature, Leprechaun 3 and Critters 2.
Jesus.
So we went to that.
Wow.
It was fucking great. Anyways.
Sounds amazing.
So anyways, after Kube is terrified all the freaking customers, we cut back to the school. And Kube is punching his hands together and asks, is there some kind of problem? And we cut to see Parker, and he's apparently trying to get Kubiac to ease up and be a little nicer. So Kubiac's like, okay, nicer. And he smiles, which is, every time he smiles, they use that stretching rubber like sound effect. Like it's so tough for him to smile.
Yeah.
And he's, so with a smile, he says, hands against the wall, creep, for some reason.
Yeah. I think he's trying to demonstrate that he can do it with a smile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at this point, every single student in the hallway faces the wall and spreads them.
Yeah. I love how long he holds on the look, because Parker slinks away underneath one of the other students, and the whole time Kube's still staring where he was, just staring at the wall. It's really weird.
Oh, man. But yeah, so Parker's like, I'm glad we had this talk, and he kind of like, slinks away.
Yeah.
And we cut to Parker at his locker, and Mikey comes up and tells him that Jerry is missing. And as they start to walk and talk, planning their search operation, someone walks by them and says, "Get a grip, guys, I'm right here."
And so begins the 15 minutes of solid cringe in this episode.
Because it's Jerry, decked out like Mikey Randall.
Trey, Mikey, chair.
Steiner?
Mikey? Park?
Park? What happened to Sir? What happened to Mister? What happened to...
Jerry, what's with you? You have to ask? At long last, I have achieved coolness.
At which point, he puts on the sunglasses and walks right into a door.
Because he can't see. Because he whips out his glasses and holds them in front of his sunglasses. He just walks away after that.
You think he could have gotten some prescription sunglasses or something?
Nah, that's not cool, man.
Yeah, that's not cool. Prescription sunglasses ain't rock and roll, man.
That is a very old personal inside joke.
Bringing it back.
Yeah. Seeing where you're going, ain't rock and roll, man.
Oh, man. And then we have another Roseanne Barr joke, which they tend to like to do these Roseanne Barr jokes.
Yeah.
So then we cut back to Mondo video, tight on Larry Kubiac as he yells, "Empty those pockets now." Mrs. Lewis runs up and asks what he's doing. Kubiac says he saw this man taking money out of the cash register. Parker steps into frame and informs Kube that this man owns the store. And on the turnaround, we see that it's Mr. Lewis, Mr. Marty Lewis, that Kubiac has cornered. And he looks frightened.
He's like cringing, like, it's me.
He's got him like backed up against that spiral staircase that they have or whatever.
Yeah.
So then we cut to a Lewis family meeting. We're still in Mondo video, but it's kind of off to the side a little while later. And it's a little Lewis gathering, and they're discussing Kubiac. Parker says they haven't had a theft in 3 weeks. Mr. Lewis counters with, well, we haven't had a customer in 3 weeks. So at this point, Badge knocks on the door. He's back. He cracks it open and drops in a bag of tapes. He says they're all rewound, and he drops a $100 bill and tells them to mail him the change, and he runs off.
Mail me the change, dude.
Yeah. So the family decides that Parker should fire Kubiac since it was his idea.
Yeah, it was Shelley who suggests that when they're trying to figure out what's up. She's like, I think maybe since it was Parker's idea, he should. And they all jump on board because, as I mentioned earlier,
like, oh yeah,
they're all absolute cowards.
Oh, so we cut back to the school. Kubiac is walking down the hall, and Parker is approaching him from behind. And just as he's about to grab Kubiac on the shoulder and to have the talk, a hand grabs Parker and jerks him off screen into an empty classroom. And it turns out that it's Mikey.
What are you doing? I was just about to
Get your teeth fed to you.
That's an alternative I can live with.
This is no time to give Kubiac bad news. He's mad. They just cut him from the football team. He's too big for his helmet.
His head's gotten bigger since the season started, I guess.
Yeah. He's still a growing boy.
Yeah.
Hence the big lunches.
He's having a growth spurt in his head.
So we cut away to find Kubiac stomping down the hall and screaming, which shatters a nearby trophy case. We cut back to that classroom, and we find Parker and Mikey on the ground, and the whole classroom is in shambles. Like, desks knocked over, shit's falling off the walls.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, when they cut back and that room was destroyed, I just laughed out loud. I just think... I don't know if it's just the idea of him screaming, just destroying everything in front of him or whatever. I don't know. Like he released a shockwave or something. It's hilarious.
It's like an earthquake. It's like a fucking earthquake,
really
and
is,
it just fucked up the whole school. So as the two stand back up, Jerry enters and says in a very Mikey fashion, "Whoa, I feel the earth move." Fucking Jerry. So later, Mikey finds Jerry playing electric guitar in the hallway, and he's playing it rather poorly, I might add.
Yeah, I feel like that must have been killing Billie Jane to watch and listen to him play like that. It's got to be just painful. As a proficient guitar player that he is.
Exactly. So Mikey asked Jer, what's going on?
Ease the clutch, Mikey. Let's jam.
Jam? A couple days ago, the only jam you knew was the apricot stuff you can on weekends.
Canned. I'm through with the geek thing. And lucky me to have you as a role model, sir. I mean, Mr. Rent. I mean, Mikey.
Yeah, lucky.
In another part of the school, Parker finds Larry sitting on the steps. Parker says he's going to try the direct approach and tell the truth. So he tells Kubiac that my aunt in Nova Scotia needs an operation, and we can't afford you anymore. So they're always talking about their relatives in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, his aunt and his cousin up in Nova Scotia. I wonder if it was the aunt we saw in that video. The one
Oh, maybe.
Send them $10 or whatever. $5. Yes. I don't remember what she said. She was going to give him a $5 bill or something.
A crisp $5 bill, I think. And some fruit, right? Or cantaloupe? No. What was it?
I think it was a check for $5 and some cantaloupe or something like that.
Yes, I think it was.
A check for $5.
So, anyways, he's so Parker's using his aunt as an excuse here.
Yeah.
So Larry responds, though, he'll take a pay cut. His afternoons are now free, and he needs to be busy. And so at this point, he puts on his football helmet, and it cracks in two.
Just breaks on
so
his head.
So his head is too big for it.
It just snaps in half. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great gag. At this point, we cut to Miss Musso's office, and Parker attempts the red tape rescue. So this is plan B. The idea is to get Musso to prevent Kubiac from working because he doesn't actually have a work permit, I guess. I guess that's the thing. I don't know why Musso has anything to do with work permits.
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
But anyway, so Parker says, when it comes to bureaucratic nightmares, Miss Musso is Freddy, Leatherface, and the Bride of Frankenstein all rolled into one, at which point we get a visual of Miss Musso in the Bride of Frankenstein getup, holding a chainsaw in one hand and rocking the Freddy glove on the other, as she hands Parker a freshly printed work permit. So Parker takes the work permit, and he's very dismayed, and he tries to appeal to Miss Musso, but she just replies with baby talk.
So
I guess
funny.
It's baby talk.
Yeah. It's hilarious, man. It's great. It's a great performance. I made a note here of like the beginning of that scene. It just cracked me up when she and Frank are peering through the blinds, but like she's here and Frank's down towards the floor like a fucking dog or some shit. And it occurred to me, like, I wonder if Frank is like her familiar, It's just like that's what he is. He's just like her fucking familiar or something. I don't know.
I think he is. I think you hit it on the head there.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Just the way they, I mean, he just looks like a lapdog half the time.
Yes.
I also wanted to point out that Melanie Charthoff sat in makeup and got completely made up in that costume for about 1.25 seconds of screen time. That is insane.
100%.
I mean, like, I was like, I wonder if it was cut down from a longer shot or something, because that is no time to be on screen, and she is in full costume. Yeah. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Like, I mean, you just get a cutaway. It's like, well, we got to do it, and it's only going to be on screen for a second. But
yeah, it's a great shot. It's just like,
it's great.
The time you have to spend to do that. It's like going on Star Trek and getting like alien makeup for like a 2-second shot or something.
As an extra walking by.
Yeah.
Just walk by in one shot. Like, oh, you're done. You're cut. That's a wrap on you. Like, 5 hours of makeup.
Give us the headpiece back.
But then we cut to Parker Central, and Parker and Mikey are trying to find a new job for Kubiac. And Mikey asks, shouldn't Jerry be doing this? At which point, Parker tells him that Jerry thinks it's too geeky now. And he flips on a monitor, and we see that Jerry is out in the quad playing a harmonica, again, rather poorly.
Yeah.
And Mikey insists they got to do something. He's setting music back worse than Ozzy Osbourne. And we smash cut to...
Hey, you don't have to bite my head off.
Get it? Because he bit the head off a bat. Get it?
Off the bat, yep.
It's a good joke.
Yeah. The biting the head off the bats was a rampant joke in the 90s. 80s and 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
After the Ozzy cutaway, we're back in Parker Central, and it turns out that all their job searching is a bust. And we cut to Mondo video. Mr. and Mrs. Lewis are trying to quell an angry mob of shopping mall merchants whose businesses have also been affected by Kubiac's presence. And they've got like fucking the picket signs. Like, it's not just they're complaining. They've got like picket signs. And
there's a couple that have them that say, for God's sake, stop him.
I didn't see that one.
Write that one down. I was looking at the signs and I paused and I was like, I noticed there were two. It said, for God's sake, stop him. It's fucking funny.
So Mr. and Mrs. Lewis are doing their best to try to quell this angry mob. And at that point, Kubiac enters, swinging his baton, and all the merchants just scatter.
Yeah.
Dropping their picket signs. And Mr. and Mrs. Lewis corner Parker and tell him,
do it.
And then we cut to the school where we're tight on Parker's face. As in VO, he tells us it's time to fire Kube. He's practiced his speech all night, and he's made all the necessary preparations. And as the camera pulls out, we find said necessary preparations. A fire truck, an ambulance, and a bunch of EMTs.
Yeah, an absolutely ancient fire truck.
Yeah,
that fucking
even
thing
for
is
then.
old.
Yeah, even for then. Yeah, but yeah, he's got him all standing by because he's in case Kubiak fucking kills him.
Right.
So Parker approaches Kubiak, thanks him for meeting, and they have a little walk and talk here, where Kubiak explains that he loves the job, and he asks Parker if he knows what he likes about it most. So Parker suggests the popcorn, obviously, because it's fucking Kube. To which Kubiak just chuckles and says, "Popcorn, no." And I can't do it justice, but I love Abe's delivery on that.
Yeah,
because it's just so genuine and warm.
Yeah.
And he tells Parker it's that he feels like he finally fits in somewhere. He goes on to explain that he's always felt like a freak of nature because of his size. And we get some genuine character building here with Kubiak, and it's pretty damn great, actually.
Yeah.
Just 4 inches shorter, and this person would be dealing with who I am, not how I am. 4 inches, and he'd be treating me like a human being, not some monster.
At which point, he crosses his leg over his right knee, and he notices he smashed a squirrel underfoot. Completely fucking flattened this squirrel.
That's a perfectly timed joke there. After, like you said, that whole little block of like performance is just very genuine. It's very it's good. It's really heartfelt. And then he puts his foot up and there's a flat fucking squirrel on his foot. It's so stupid.
It's great. Yeah. It was great timing.
And then his response to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His response is, "I hate it when that happens." And he peels the roadkill off of his shoe and tosses it to the side where it lands in a bush. And it just kind of flops in his bush.
It just slings it into a bush.
Oh, God, it's fucking great. Parker tries to turn the conversation over to the firing, but Kube yells at this point that he's not finished.
That part
which
made
like
me
scatters
laugh, too.
birds and everything. Yeah.
That part made me laugh too, because it's just like, I'm not finished.
Whoa. He gets angry all of a sudden. So Parker shuts his mouth and Larry explains that he's turning in his badge. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity has opened up and he has to take it. He's got a busboy job at a smorgasbord. So Kube slaps Parker on the back and it sends him flying across the quad. And Parker picks himself up, dusts himself off, and in VO he says, well, it looks like everybody wins. Everybody except the smorgasbord. And we get a cutaway of Kubiak in that restaurant kitchen devouring a ton of pies and all kinds of food, while the rest of the staff just look on dismayed.
Yeah, he's like wrist deep in that pie.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And he's eating so much. It's like,
oh, God. So at this point, we cut to the interior of the school, and Mikey steps from a classroom dressed like Jerry, trench coat and all. He's got the glasses. He's got the froey hair going. He doesn't have the normal Mikey, like, rock and roll hair. He's got, like, curly, froey hair.
Yeah, I like that this is like two episodes in a row now that we've had where characters, two of the best buds have, like, switched clothes and worn each other's wardrobes and shit.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's true. It was like 2 in a row, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Mikey's decided to attempt this psychological approach to try to get Jerry to return to himself. But just then, Jerry pops into the frame with that requisite spring sound effect, and he's back to his old self. And he's impressed with Mikey's new getup, and he says, "Trey geeky, sir."
That's great.
Mikey asks what happened, and Jerry explains that he realizes that he is who he is, and he's okay with that. Mikey then produces a notepad from his jacket and offers to take Jerry's lunch order.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that part that Jerry's just like accepting who he is, and like the fact that they're both, especially like Mikey's just they're both very supportive,
Yes.
So it's a genuinely, it's a very sweet scene, and the fact that he pops the thing out to take Jerry's lunch orders is a very sweet interaction.
It's a great touch. Yeah. No, it's a great touch. It is, it is definitely, like I mean, it's kind of crucial, I think, that beat was there too, because it's not just like, okay, the world's back to normal. I'm the cool dude. You're the geek. It's like, there's love among amongst these 3 buds, and that it's like, oh, I can take a lunch order. I think it was, like I said, that beat was actually, I think, really important.
Yeah.
So Jerry responds, "Coolness, sir." And they do their hand slap, high five. I don't know what is that. Do we have a name for that yet?
I don't know, man. I think you called it a high five at one point, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Chip knows what it is."
Yeah, no, because I remember we talked about it. I was like, "Well, it's not really a high five because it's like that back of the hand slap thing. It's a very '90s back of the hand slap, blah blah blah, whatever."
Yeah.
Just
call it the
Buds
Best
handshake.
Buds high five handshake thing. Just call that.
And anyway, they do that. Yeah, they do that, and they take off down the hall. And Parker muses in VO about how high school is about finding yourself and dealing with who it is you find, and also having friends there to help you out with both. Then we cut to our closing gag back at the soda machine where the door opens and we see Shelly this time. Nothing happens at all. So she sticks her head into the machine to inspect, and a stream of soda explodes in her face. She shuts the door and screams, "Parker!" So obviously he rigged it to fucking
or she just
shoot her in the face.
Or she just assumed that he did, even though it's malfunctioning for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Man, she gets a whole face full of that shit.
Yeah, funny. She does.
What have you got to say for yourselves?
They kind of sum it up a little bit there at the end, but, I thought it was interesting that this episode is pretty much all about identity, with the Kubiac and Jerry's storylines, and Kubiac sort of lays it out there with his speech, basically, to his monologue to Parker at the end.
Yeah.
It's a lot about how we identify, how we define ourselves, and how those definitions kind of conflict with how the world sees us,
Yeah.
Jerry is rejecting who he is for a little while based on the reaction of the world to him.
Yeah.
Whereas Kubiac is Kubiac, and he's aware that the world responds to him a certain way, but he is who he is,
Yeah.
And I like that they both, by the end, they both like accept and recognize who they are, and it's very nice to see Jerry come around at the end. He's going to, it's a sitcom, but
of course,
it's nice to see them both kind of arrive at a point or return to a point of, recognizing who they are and being somewhat as comfortable as you can be at 16 or 17 or 32 or however old Kube's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough, that's one of the tough things about high school, that it
Trying
really
to fit
becomes,
in.
and it becomes really, you feel like there's a lot of focus on, who you are, who you want to be, and who everybody else thinks you should be, or, whatever,
Yep. Yeah. I think I love this episode. A lot of great gags, but also it's a great Kubiac episode, and, just further building that character to be not two-dimensional. I mean, he is that big oaf. I mean, he's big and dumb, and we get the gags and we get the flattened squirrel, but we also get those, we get those insightful moments, and had that, he shared that with Parker. So Parker's, growing closer to Kubiac, getting to understand him just a little bit more,
Yeah.
So just as far as character building, I love this episode.
Yeah, and it's a long way from, we're 14 episodes in. It's a long way from the pilot where he's, threatening to murder both of them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And now we've got, 6 episodes ago, he's helping him sneak into Musso's office. It's interesting how Kubiac is occasionally an antagonist, when he needs to be. But I also like that in this episode, we get both versions of Kube. We get like dim Kube, and we also get like refined Kube,
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that they intended for it to be like something that they showed, I guess he's mostly like that when he's speaking only to Parker, like the last episode in the bathroom, and then this episode here where he's doing the monologue,
Yeah.
Everybody else, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just demonstrating them becoming closer,
Yeah.
Characters.
No, I mean, that's the way I see it. And like I say, just, knowing the most of this show, at least the first 2 seasons, and these characters, and having known them for so long, like it's one of those things, like you say, back in the day, especially with sitcoms, characters were, I feel, a lot more two-dimensional. Yeah. And it's like either you can be the big dumb oaf, or you can be the sensitive, you couldn't be both.
Yeah.
Or if you develop the big oaf to become more of this thing, then you lose the oaf. But like I feel like this show was great at writing that line.
Yeah.
Like you say, and especially even in this episode, we get Kubiac, both sides of Kubiac.
Yeah.
And it works. It's not just, And even though we get some character development, he's still going to be the big dumb oaf in other episodes too. Yeah. And there's still going to be tender moments. Like I just feel like they do a great job with these characters of being a lot more fleshed out and real and without sacrificing the comedy, you know?
Yeah. And it's not a full, you know, it's not a full reset like on most sitcoms back then, you know. I mean, it is to an extent. I mean, you know, these are not serialized, obviously,
right?
You know, as evidenced by the fact that Parker's always like, you know, every other episode he's like after Donna Sue, is that that's his, or Mikey's after Mary Lou, and then the next one he's dating somebody else, and the next one he's wondering why Mary Lou won't give him the time of day, and it's like, you know, there's no continuity, there's very little continuity, but there is a little bit built in there with the character development. So
that's what I'm saying. There is the sitcom reset of every episode, but like story wise, but character wise, it feels like they do slowly progress. I mean, you can't progress too fast, but they slowly progress over the season or seasons. And I just think it's just interesting. It's just fun to see that in a you know, this era sitcom.
Yeah.
On the next Synchronize Swatches.
The next episode will be Season 1, Episode 15, Heather the Class. Here is the IMDb synopsis, or summary, whatever. Okay. In this installment of Shelley Finding Herself, she strives to be a Vogue. The trend-setting snob girls take Shelley in and help her see the light. Shelley is blinded to the fact that the Vogues are selfish and uncaring, and she must decide whether her popularity is worth burning the people closest to her. Meanwhile, Parker is on a mission from Musso to help slender down Larry. Shelley's transformation into the Vogue's world collides with Parker's mission, which causes tension all around.
My brother's a dead man.
My friend Jerry said you guys were going to do something really neat today.